Will your property taxes go up when New York City reforms the property tax system? We'll demystify this topic in the following video. I'm Nick at Hauseit. We can save you money on your next purchase, sale, or rental in New York City, Long Island, the Hudson Valley, or South Florida. Learn how by visiting hauseit.com. That's Hauseit with an A. So let's get started. So as we alluded to, New York City property tax reform is on the horizon. We think it's not a matter of if, but rather when these changes will occur. So let's backtrack a little bit and talk about how we got to where we are today. The current property tax system in New York City was enacted in 1981. It has been unchanged for approximately 4 decades, and many critics have assailed the current system as being quite unfavorable in terms of its treatment of condos and co-ops compared to 1 to 3 family homes. In other words, people with big townhouses in Brownstown Brooklyn, for example, are paying a lot less in terms of the percentage of property tax to market value versus somebody with a condo or a co-op apartment in the city. So politicians have been making noise about this for years, but quite unsurprisingly, nothing has actually happened up until 2018. And in 2018, the mayor at the time, Bill de Blasio, basically announced a commission that was tasked with exploring ways to reform the current system. So a couple years passed, and finally, in December of 2021, that commission actually released a final report, which is available online, which outlines some of their recommendations for overhauling the system. So let's go over a specific example which illustrates what critics believe to be unfair treatment of apartments compared to townhouses. So here on the screen we have the picture of 345 Park Place. This is a massive townhouse in Prospect Heights. It was recently on the market for $6.4 million. Now, the current property taxes for this townhouse are just $694 a month. This equates to an annual property tax obligation as a percentage of market value of roughly 0.15%. Now compare this to the average nationwide of a little bit over 1%. So in the rest of the country, a townhouse with a value like this, or a home, say a home worth $6 million, should have an annual property tax levy of roughly 1% or $60,000. That is $5,000 a month. And instead, this townhouse currently is paying less than $700 a month in property taxes. Now let's look at a condo. Here we have on the screen a condo in Murray Hill at 415 East 37th Street, apartment 29G. This property was recently on the market asking $1.2 million. And the monthly property taxes for this condo are $1,443. That's right. This apartment, which is only worth $1.2 million, has a property tax bill per month, which is more than double than what the owner of a $6 million townhouse in Brooklyn is paying. So I think this example perfectly illustrates the perceived problem with the current system. So now let's get to the good stuff. Will your property taxes go up when New York City overhauls the system? Well, it depends on your property type. But let's think a little bit about how they've changed the underlying system, and then it will tell us whether or not your taxes may go up. So currently, New York City has a bunch of really confusing tax classes. So one apartment could be in a different tax class from another apartment in a slightly bigger building, and then townhouses, of course, are treated differently. It's really complicated and confusing. So the commission basically suggests that they tear up all the existing confusing tax classes for small residential properties and basically just create one tax class. Then they propose calculating property taxes based on the percentage of actual market value, and the current tax rate proposed is 0.814%. So in other words, New York City is basically thinking about changing property taxes to charge you around 0.8% of your property's market value. Therefore, if you currently own a property that is worth $1 million or more in New York City, and you're paying less than around $8,000 a year, which is 0.8%, your taxes will likely be going up under this commission's proposal. So who is most at risk? Well, for starters, people who own townhouses in Brownstown Brooklyn. Places like Bed-Stuy, where it's very common to see listings that have super low property taxes. This is a great example where potentially your property taxes could go up 200, 300, 400% if this system is actually enacted. Other types of properties that might be harmed, for example, we found that condos in buildings with 10 or fewer units may face substantial increases in their property taxes. We have additional examples on our blog, so check out Hauseit.com to learn a bit more. And we also do have a link on our page there for an interactive calculator that will actually tell you or forecast whether your property taxes may go up for your particular home in New York City. So before we let you go, let's end on a positive note. Will anybody's property taxes actually go down if the Commission's proposal is enacted? Well, the answer is yes. If you're fortunate enough to own a property in Staten Island, South Brooklyn, places like Bay Ridge, or parts of Queens, it's possible under the new system that your property tax bill will go down. So we hope you found this video to be helpful. If you are looking to buy, sell, or rent in New York City, we can save you money at Hauseit. Learn how by visiting Hauseit.com. That's Hauseit with an A. We greatly appreciate your time and hope that you will subscribe to our channel if you like our content. I'm Nick at Hauseit, and we'll see you on the next one.